CPA or MBA? What are CFOs looking for in accounting and finance staff? This is the IssuesWatch podcast. Hi, I'm Don Meyer, Chief Marketing Officer at the New Jersey Society of CPAs, and welcome to the IssuesWatch podcast. Unless you've been living under a rock the last year, you know that there's definitely an accountant shortage out there. The shortage is so serious that major business publications such as the Wall Street Journal, Fortune, and Bloomberg have covered the issue. Bloomberg wrote that in 2021, there was a 17% drop in employed accountants and auditors from a 2019 peak. But the number of companies trying to hire accountants hasn't slowed one bit. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, between 2021 and 2031, about 136,000 openings for accountants and auditors are projected each year. The openings are due to workers leaving the field for different occupations or retiring. In previous podcasts and webcasts, we've covered the accounting shortage from the public accounting perspective. With me now to discuss the war for talent from a corporate finance perspective is Fortune senior writer Cheryl Estrada. Cheryl writes about trends and people shaping corporate finance for Fortune's CFO Daily. Welcome, Cheryl.
Thanks, Don. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's get to the first question. We know that the ability to attract and retain accounting talent is a top concern for accounting firms across the country. We hear about it all the time. But how big of a concern is recruitment for CFOs in private industry?
Well, Don, I would say that the talent shortage that's occurring overall is definitely a top concern for CFOs at public and private companies. And that also includes accounting talent. For example, the other day I spoke with Mark Elliott, the CFO of Mercer, the consulting firm, and they did a recent survey of CFOs about their outlook for the economy in this year. And a lot of CFOs and CEOs are grappling with the anticipation of a possible recession, continued inflation, but then managing that against high demand environment. So people are still traveling, buying products, eating out, etc. So it all ties back to talent, he told me. And so they have to work on meeting those demands, and certainly having a great accounting team is a part of that. So I want to also give an example about the CFO's role. Okay, when you think about the evolving role of the CFO over the past years, traditionally they focus on finance, but over the past years, they've been expanding to become more of a strategic partner to the CEO and kind of collaborating with all of the different departments around the organization. And a lot of CFOs that I've talked to over the years are thinking about how to unlock value in their company or how to organize and create large scale, long-term growth. So chief accounting officers and their teams play vital roles, as you know. They make sure the company's financial information is up to date. They're involved in financial planning and analysis, auditing, treasury management, regulatory compliance. And what this important role does is it also allows the CFO to kind of continue to walk in that strategic partnership to the CEO. So I would say that they are definitely understand the importance of accounting talent for the growth of an organization.
Okay, so based on that kind of new universe, a new world that CFOs are operating in, what steps are companies taking to attract and retain accounting talent, which might have been educated, kind of brought up in an environment where the CFO's role was looked at a little bit more traditionally?
Okay, well, I would say the first big step is technology upgrade for finance and accounting teams. Replacing manual processes. You think of, Gen Z and even some millennials, they're kind of, digital natives, and they don't want to go to a job in which they don't have those capabilities that they can have in their own home. For example, I spoke with Ken Tangi. He's the CFO of Prudential. And, Prudential is like over 100 years old, insurance company. And they've gone through this transformation process, making good headway, making good gains with it. and in which they are revamping a lot of their systems with AI, machine learning, automation for their customers, but also for their finance and accounting teams with expense management, forecasting, analytics, scenario planning, all getting a tech upgrade, Ken Tangi told me. And then another aspect of attracting finance and accounting talent is flexibility, not having to be in the office from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And Prudential has that hybrid work environment. They say that it's doing well for them in terms of employee satisfaction. Some finance firms are kind of staunch in saying, oh, we need you in the office full time to meet with clients, do et cetera. But post-pandemic, we've all seen that you can work remotely and still get the job done and get it done well. So flexibility is big for finance and accounting professionals, and also competitive pay. It's competitive to get talent. Everyone is trying to get the best people out there. So you have to pay well, or are at least at the standard of what your competitors are offering.
Right. I think a lot of public accounting firms, excuse me, are seeing that as well. That they needed to up their game, just like every other company.
Exactly.
So just coincidentally, recently, Fortune CFO Daily mentioned earlier during the intro that you're the author of that. One of your articles was about skills. That
Yes.
the war for talent is really about a war for skills. So
Right.
what skill sets are CFOs looking for in accounting and finance staff?
Okay, I would say that the top skill sets they're looking for are to be data and tech savvy, and also strategic thinkers. Because if you think about it, the CFO kind of leads the finance accounting organization. So if they're going that route of being more strategic, they want their team to be on board as well. Another company that's more than 100 years old, Macy's, I spoke with their CFO, Adrian Mitchell, and they're trying to be a digitally led company now. And one of the things that he told me for this year is that, accounting and finance, they're just not going to report the news. He says they're going to shape outcomes and be partners across the enterprise. And he said that mind shift is quite crucial for accounting and finance as we go forward. And so that means they want strategic thinkers who are able to kind of connect the dots and kind of have the capability of doing storytelling with data.
Now, one of the first articles I had read in Fortune CFO Daily was about sort of the MBA versus the CPA license. We're an organization of CPAs, so we like to think that the CPA license is the premier credential. But there does seem to be a bit of a movement towards, at least in private industry, a move towards the MBA over the CPA license. Are you seeing that? Are CFOs looking more for MBAs than CPAs? And if so, why do you think that is?
Well done.
Give me good news,
I hate
Cheryl.
to tell you. Well, first let me start here. That dynamic is rather big when it comes to looking for a company looking for a CFO. Okay, so according to recent research by Chris Holder and Associates, an executive accounting firm, they found that over the past 5 years, the continuation of the trend for CFOs to have MBAs over CPAs remains very evident. They had a survey of Fortune 500 and S&P 500 CFOs that found that in 2022, 51.5% of finance chiefs had an MBA compared to about a third who were CPA.
Wow.
And the president of Chris Holder and Associates, Glenn Johnson, told me that there's actually been instances where a company is looking for a CFO and the candidate with a CPA credential comes across their desk and they're kind of like, we're not interested. And it's not because, CPAs aren't great. It's because some companies are thinking as the CFO role evolves, they're going to maybe want someone who's able to communicate across the organization, who has, different types of skill sets in strategy that they can bring to the table. But on the same note, Don, as companies are looking for CFOs who have MBAs, who are strategic thinkers, these CFOs know that if they come from a non-traditional background, they don't have that accounting background, they need to have people on their teams who do and who are great at it, because finance is the heartbeat of an organization. It's at the heart. It keeps things going. So they need to have these good CPAs and accounting professionals on their team. So they are seeking that to maybe fill a deficit that they may have themselves.
That's an interesting point. And part of me also wonders whether, and we've asked this question in regards to declines in individuals sitting for the CPA exam and some declines in accounting enrollments. We've asked whether the CPA license has a bit of an image problem, because if there were a CPA in the room right now, I can almost guarantee you that some of the attributes that you mentioned about somebody who holds an MBA, that CPA would say, "Oh, well, we're strategic and we do those things." So I wonder if some of it is just sort of like a perception problem, that the perception of a CPA or CPA license is this, and an MBA is this, and maybe the CPA profession, just needs to do more to educate CEOs and CFOs and controllers about what that CPA license means, that it can mean just more than just the basics of what it means to be a CPA.
I totally agree with that. It could be an image problem,
Right.
just stereotypes of this CPA person with CPA or the accounting field. And I also think that CPAs and accounting professionals in general need, if they're looking for jobs, they need to kind of state out strategic things that they've done, out of things that may have been outside of the box, things that aren't typically associated with an accounting role, to, like you said, to show that, hey, I have this breadth of knowledge and skills, and I shouldn't be put in a box because of I'm a CPA.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Actually, we say that all the time. We tell our members, tell your story.
Right.
Don't focus on the mechanics of being a CPA. Don't focus on process. Tell your story. Talk about outcomes and results. And so I think that's an excellent point.
Yes.
One of the things that we're trying to figure out within public accounting is whether or not the war for talent, was it, well, we know it was in part brought on by the pandemic and the Great Resignation, but there are also some demographic issues in the accounting profession, still dominated by baby boomers, and a lot of those baby boomers are retiring. Now, in industry, do CFOs view the war for talent as a short-term challenge brought on by the pandemic and the Great Resignation, or do they think this is going to be something they're going to have to deal with long-term?
From what I've gathered and from research and talking to them, they are seeing this as a long-term issue. We hope for the best and plan for the worst. The talent gap is causing them to kind of rethink hiring processes, against traditional hires, and also putting a spotlight on kind of hiring within the company even. And sharpening skill sets of current employees. You mentioned an article that I wrote recently about the war for talent is becoming a war for skills. It's more so that companies are thinking about what skills do we need, identifying the right and specific opportunities that they need to address skills gaps. They're having a pay for skills philosophy, Mercer CFO told me. And so they're really kind of rethinking that model and preparing for a long-term, perhaps deficit in the right type of talent. And they're working on trying to build the right type of talent within the organization in case they're not able to, get the new hires that they want. And also I would say that because the CFO role is evolving, because I even believe the accounting role is evolving, they're looking for certain type of candidates, like you said, with technology and data analytic skills, storytelling. So it's not going to be easy as it may have been maybe 20 years ago in hiring someone to fill these roles. So they're very aware of that. So it is a long-term challenge that they're preparing for and coming with resolutions and solutions to come out on the other end and at the same time promote company growth.
We're seeing a trend in public, kind of firms getting away from hiring people that are, say, generalists or jacks of all trade, and they're looking for people to specialize maybe in certain things. Are you seeing that with CFOs, or are you seeing that with corporate finance and accounting departments, where they're not necessarily looking for somebody who's a Swiss Army knife of skills, but they're looking for specific skills? They're looking for specialists in certain areas?
Yes, I would say that is a case. That's the case in many instances, that they, need specific skill sets and are honed in on hiring someone with that, and that can, be a part of an important role in a department, and it can help grow the company in different ways.
Okay. Now we can't have a meeting here at the society without someone bringing up the pipeline and how do we get more students interested in accounting. I think most professionals and educators across the board would agree that accounting offers great career prospects, but attracting, retaining new talent is still a challenge. You've written a number of columns on this topic. What have you learned about how to get students interested in accounting?
Well, it may take a village, Don, to get a student interested in accounting. But that's what I spoke with a professor at the Graduate School of Business at Rice University. His name is Ben Lansford. And he was saying that a lot of the students that are in the profession or want to pursue the profession are because like they have an aunt or uncle or parent who are accountants. So part of it is going to be like personally sharing the story to the younger generation. If you were to, go to an organization and talk about the role in why it's vital, why it's important, why it's going to, have technology and do all these new and challenging things, that's part of it. And he also told me, Ben Lansford, that, quite frankly, accounting is difficult. He said it's a tough subject. You need a 5th year of college to qualify to sit for a CPA exam. And it makes it the major less appealing to a lot of people. Now, that education is necessary, to be an effective CPA. So that's not, I don't think, really going anywhere. But with also, you have to hone in on kind of the feasibility of the field, that it's rock solid foundation, that you can go to any industry and work as an accountant. And again, the technology peg. And also, I would say that the big 4 accounting firms are going even to high schoolers and talking about the field to get them more interested in it, and kind of giving a different perspective that's out there. So it's kind of like we were saying before, kind of like changing the image, showing the value, and just we need like champions, CPA champions, to go out and to garner interest, because it's very important, accounting for any company.
No, agreed. And I completely agree. And something that we say to our members all the time about, it it takes a village. It also takes just one person having a
Right.
conversation with a student or another person about the accounting profession and their successes and how much they've enjoyed being an accountant and the impact they've
Exactly.
had on individuals or businesses. So I agree with you. It really, we need champions, and we
Yes.
do have a lot of them, and it's going to take some time to get the word out there. But I think we're at least moving in the right direction.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah. So, Cheryl, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. You're a fellow Syracuse grad, so we'll have to have you back at some point.
Go Orange. Thank you, Don. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. Thank you all for listening and watching. To subscribe to CFO Daily, visit the link in the show notes. For more resources and guidance on staffing, visit njcpa.org/hub/staffing.